There is a very specific, very ancient fear that a good snake scene can trigger, the one that does not care how brave you normally are. Cinema has understood this for decades, sliding coils and flicking tongues into everything from cheap drive-in horror to prestige fantasy epics and one gloriously ridiculous airplane. This is Movie Blanket Club, and today we are counting down our picks for the 20 best snake movies ever made. One quick warning before we start, our number one pick is the genre's own defining creature feature, and we are ranking it above a beloved pulp adventure classic whose single scene arguably terrifies more people than anything else on this entire list. Grab your blanket and maybe keep your feet up off the floor for this one. Number 20, Fer de Lance, 1974. A crate of highly venomous snakes being illegally smuggled aboard a decommissioned American submarine breaks loose during a routine transport voyage, trapping the crew in the vessel's cramped, poorly lit corridors with nowhere to run and no way to call for outside help. Made for television on a modest budget, the film leans entirely into the inherent claustrophobia of its setting, treating the submarine's narrow passageways as a genuinely inescapable nightmare once the venomous cargo escapes containment. Its television movie production values and reliance on real, trained snakes rather than elaborate effects keep the scale appropriately intimate rather than spectacular. That intimacy works entirely in the film's favor, transplanting a familiar creature feature premise into one of the most claustrophobic settings the genre has ever attempted. David Janssen anchors the crew's mounting panic with steady professional authority throughout. Its central hook, snakes loose inside a steel tube with no possible escape route, remains a genuinely inspired premise decades later. The production reportedly relied on a professional herpetologist to handle every snake on set, ensuring the confined shooting conditions stayed safe for both cast and crew. Our pick for the most claustrophobically inventive entry on this list, a submarine thriller with absolutely nowhere left to hide. Number 19, Stanley, 1972. A troubled Vietnam veteran living alone on the edge of the Florida Everglades keeps a collection of trained rattlesnakes as his only real companions, and after a group of cruel local racists humiliate and provoke him one time too many, sets his devoted serpents loose on everyone responsible for his suffering. Director William Griffey stages the revenge plot with a genuinely sincere sympathy for its outcast protagonist, treating the snakes themselves less as monsters and more as an extension of a man society has already failed completely. Its low-budget seams and dated racial politics show clearly by modern standards, a product very much of its specific early 70s swamp exploitation moment. That rawness is inseparable from the film's real cult appeal, a truly strange blend of social commentary and drive-in creature revenge spectacle rarely attempted with this much apparent sincerity. Chris Robinson anchors the title role with an unexpectedly gentle, wounded quality beneath the exploitation trappings. Its extensive use of real, untrained-looking snakes gives the film a tactile unease modern effects rarely replicate. Griffey shot much of the film on location in the actual Everglades, reportedly working with local wranglers to keep the numerous live rattlesnakes manageable throughout production. Our pick for the most unexpectedly sincere entry on this list, revenge delivered by a man whose only real friends have scales. Number 18, Copperhead, 2008. A small town's construction crew unwittingly disturbs an underground nest of massive prehistoric copperhead snakes while breaking ground for a new development, unleashing a swarm of venomous giants that begin picking off residents faster than the local sheriff can figure out what is actually happening. Made for television with the kind of modest budget typical of the era's monster movie boom, the film leans heavily on digital effects to render its oversized serpents, a choice that has aged with the same charmingly rough edges as its genre contemporaries. Its plotting sticks closely to familiar small-town creature feature formula, prioritizing escalating attack set pieces over any real narrative surprise. That formula is executed with a straightforward, unpretentious enthusiasm that fans of the B-movie monster boom have come to appreciate on its own terms. Billy Zane anchors the chaos with reliably game commitment to thoroughly ridiculous material. Its practical, small-town setting gives the digital snake attacks an oddly effective grounded backdrop. The film was produced quickly to capitalize on a wave of similar creature features airing around the same period, reportedly completing its shoot in only a few weeks. Our pick for the most unapologetically B-movie entry on this list: giant snakes doing exactly what giant snake movies promise. Number 17. The Sorcerer and the White Snake, 2011. Adapting the centuries-old Chinese legend of the White Snake, a powerful snake spirit disguises herself as a human woman and falls really in love with a mortal herbalist, a forbidden romance that draws the fury of a monk determined to expose and destroy her regardless of the collateral damage. Director Ching Siu-tung blends large-scale wuxia spectacle with heavy digital effects, staging elaborate battles between the snake spirit's supernatural allies and the monk's own considerable magical arsenal. Its reliance on early 2010 CGI has dated somewhat unevenly against the more grounded practical fantasy filmmaking of earlier Hong Kong cinema. That spectacle aside, the film's emotional core, genuine forbidden love destroyed by rigid moral certainty, gives the mythological romance real dramatic weight beneath the effects-heavy battles. Jet Li anchors the monk's righteous, increasingly troubled crusade with real gravitas. Its lush production design brings the classic legend to vivid, colorful life. Ching Siu-tung had previously choreographed action for several major Hong Kong productions before taking on directing duties for this adaptation himself. The film premiered at a major Chinese New Year release slot, a scheduling choice reserved for the industry's biggest anticipated blockbuster productions. Our pick for the most visually lavish entry on this list: ancient romance rendered as full-scale fantasy spectacle. Number 16. Sis, 1973. A brilliant but deeply unethical herpetologist takes on an eager new lab assistant, only for the young man to gradually discover his employer's real research goal: a serum capable of transforming human beings into king cobras, and that he himself has already been chosen as its next unwitting test subject. Director Bernard L. Kowalski builds the film's horror around genuine practical dread rather than pure creature spectacle, using real snakes extensively throughout production to keep the herpetological setting tactile and unsettling. Strother Martin anchors the increasingly unhinged scientist with genuine controlled menace beneath a veneer of scholarly charm. Its slow-building body horror transformation, achieved largely through practical makeup applied gradually across the runtime, remains an unmistakably unsettling gradual reveal rather than a single shock cut. That patience gives the transformation real dramatic weight, tracking a decent young man's horror as he loses his humanity one physical stage at a time. Its title alone, a hissing sound rather than an actual word, promises exactly the tone it delivers. Kowalski reportedly consulted professional herpetologists extensively during pre-production, wanting the film's snake-handling sequences to read as procedurally credible. Our pick for the most unsettling body horror entry on this list: transformation dread built one scale at a time. Number 15. The Reptile, 1966. A newly married couple moving into a remote Cornish village inherited from a deceased relative discovers the community is being terrorized by a mysterious, venomous creature, a mystery that leads back to a reclusive household hiding a horrifying secret about a daughter cursed into something no longer entirely human. Hammer Film Productions brings its trademark gothic craft to the material: rich color cinematography, atmospheric fog-choked village sets, and a plainly tragic monster at the story's center rather than a simple villain. Its slow-burning mystery structure withholds the creature's full reveal for much of the runtime, testing viewers eager for more immediate scares from the premise. That patience builds toward a thoroughly poignant reveal: the cursed woman's condition treated with real sympathy rather than pure horror spectacle. Jacqueline Pierce's performance beneath the creature's makeup carries real aching tragedy. Its practical transformation effects remain impressively unsettling for the era's budget constraints. Hammer built an elaborate Cornish village set specifically for the production, reusing several structures across multiple films released around the same period. Pierce would go on to appear in several more Hammer productions following this role, becoming one of the studio's recognizable recurring faces. Our pick for the most gothic entry on this list, a curse story that never once forgets its monster was once someone's daughter. Number 14, Venom, 1981. A botched kidnapping scheme targeting a wealthy family's young son spirals into chaos when the criminals barricade themselves inside the family's London townhouse, unaware a deadly black mamba, mistakenly delivered instead of the harmless snake the boy actually ordered, is loose somewhere in the house alongside them. Director Piers Haggard stages the hostage siege with real claustrophobic tension, using the confined townhouse setting to trap both the criminals and the audience alongside an unseen lethal threat neither can locate. Its notoriously troubled production, including a replaced director and reportedly severe tension among its starry cast, resulted in a finished film with a somewhat disjointed tonal identity. That behind-the-scenes chaos aside, the film's starry ensemble, including Klaus Kinski and Oliver Reed at their most volatile, brings real, watchable intensity to an already tense hostage scenario. Its Black Mamba, largely real rather than animatronic, lends the danger a tangible, unpredictable menace throughout. Reports from the production describe considerable on-set tension between Kinski and Reed, reportedly contributing to the finished film's somewhat fractured tonal identity. Our pick for the most unpredictably volatile entry on this list, a hostage thriller with an uninvited, venomous third party. Number 13. The Lair of the White Worm, 1988. A Scottish archaeologist's discovery of a mysterious reptilian skull in the English countryside awakens an ancient, immortal snake cult priestess who has secretly worshipped a monstrous serpent deity beneath the local hills for centuries, and who now requires fresh sacrifices to keep her ancient patron appeased. Director Ken Russell, adapting Bram Stoker's own obscure novel, leans fully into gleeful, hallucinatory excess, blending folk horror atmosphere with deliberately campy, sexually charged provocation throughout. Its wildly uneven tone, veering between real dread and outright absurdist comedy, will not appeal to viewers expecting a more consistent horror experience from the folk horror setup. That inconsistency is very much the point. A wholly singular, deliriously strange vision that only Russell's particular sensibilities could have produced. Amanda Donahoe's Serpent Priestess delivers a gloriously committed, unhinged performance throughout. Its blend of folklore, camp, and authentic unease remains completely unlike anything else in the genre. Russell reportedly encouraged his cast toward deliberately theatrical performances, wanting the film's tone to sit somewhere between real dread and outright comedy. Our pick for the most gloriously deranged entry on this list, folk horror filtered through pure directorial delirium. Number 12, Nagina, 1986. A shape-shifting snake woman disguises herself as an ordinary bride to marry into a wealthy family, using the union to stay close to the man she truly loves while secretly hunting down the sinister sorcerer responsible for killing her serpent mate years earlier. Drawing on centuries of Indian folklore surrounding Ichhadari Nag, mythical snakes capable of assuming human form at will, the film became one of the biggest commercial phenomena in Bollywood history, propelling its leading actress to instant superstardom almost overnight. Its melodramatic musical structure and heightened supernatural mythology may feel unfamiliar to Western audiences accustomed to more grounded horror storytelling. That heightened style is entirely the point, treating devotion, vengeance, and ancient curses with the full operatic scale Bollywood cinema does best. Sridevi anchors the title role with a mesmerizing, physically expressive performance built around elaborate serpent-inspired dance sequences that became instant cultural touchstones. Its soundtrack, particularly the film's iconic snake dance number, remains one of the most recognizable pieces of Bollywood music ever recorded. The film's success helped cement an entire enduring genre of Indian snake woman fantasy films that followed directly in its wake. Our pick for the most culturally inescapable entry on this list, Snake Woman Devotion Told at Full Operatic Scale. Number 11. Green Snake, 1993. Two immortal snake spirits, sisters bound by centuries of devotion, take human form and settle in a bustling Chinese city, where the elder's forbidden romance with a mortal scholar draws the wrath of a rigidly moral Buddhist monk determined to separate the natural and supernatural worlds by any means necessary. Director Tsui Hark stages the classic Chinese legend with dazzling visual invention, blending elaborate wirework choreography, vivid production design, and startlingly provocative gender and sexuality themes rarely explored this openly in mainstream Hong Kong cinema of the era. Its dense mythological framework and unconventional pacing ask real patience from viewers unfamiliar with the source legend's cultural context. That density rewards attentive viewers with one of Hong Kong cinema's most visually and thematically ambitious fantasy films, using the snake spirit premise to interrogate rigid moral certainty itself. Maggie Cheung and Joey Wong anchor the sisterly bond with real emotional depth throughout. Its influence on subsequent Chinese fantasy cinema remains considerable decades later. Tsui Hark reportedly rewrote significant portions of the traditional legend for the screenplay, foregrounding the sisters' bond in ways earlier adaptations had largely ignored. Our pick for the most artistically ambitious entry on this list, ancient myth used to unusually interrogate what counts as monstrous. Number 10. Anaconda, 2025. Two lifelong friends obsessed with the notoriously campy 1997 creature feature travel deep into the jungle to shoot their own low-budget remake, only for their production to collide catastrophically with an actual, very real giant anaconda that has no interest whatsoever in respecting their shooting schedule. Directed by and starring sincere, real-life best friends, the film leans fully into affectionate, self-aware comedy, treating the beloved original's campy reputation as the entire premise, rather than something to overcome. Its meta-comedic structure and heavy reliance on the cast's specific brand of humor will land considerably better with viewers already fond of the original film's so-bad-it's-good legacy. That affection is deeply infectious regardless, a rare franchise revival that understands exactly why audiences loved the original in the first place, rather than simply chasing nostalgia for its own sake. Its practical creature work pays loving homage to the 1990s original. The two leads have been close friends since childhood, a real dynamic they've said informed much of the film's improvised comedic chemistry. Our pick for the most affectionately self-aware entry on this list, a remake that is really a love letter to the movie it is remaking. Number 9. Jason and the Argonauts, 1963. A banished prince assembles a crew of legendary Greek heroes to recover the mythical Golden Fleece, a quest that pits them against harpies, skeleton warriors, and most memorably a monstrous multi-headed serpent dragon known as the Hydra, guardian of the fleece itself. Special effects legend Ray Harryhausen brings his signature stop-motion animation to the Hydra with authentically painstaking craft, giving the multi-headed serpent a tactile, weighty menace that computer effects have rarely improved upon since. Its dated matte photography and deliberate classical pacing reflect early 1960s filmmaking conventions rather than modern blockbuster rhythms. That deliberate pace serves Harryhausen's meticulous animation work, which remains the film's unmistakable, enduring legacy well after its human drama has faded from memory. Its climactic skeleton army sequence, animated frame by painstaking frame, remains a landmark of practical effects artistry. The Hydra battle alone has influenced monster design for generations of filmmakers since. Harryhausen has said the Hydra sequence took several months of painstaking frame-by-frame animation to complete, among the most complex work of his entire career. The film's reputation grew considerably over subsequent decades, later cited by numerous prominent directors as a formative influence on their own careers. Our pick for the most influential practical effects entry on this list, a serpent monster built one meticulous frame at a time. Number 8. Clash of the Titans, 1981. The demigod Perseus embarks on a perilous quest to rescue his beloved Andromeda from a sea monster's wrath, a mission that requires him to first hunt down and behead Medusa, the legendary Gorgon whose serpent-covered head turns any living creature to stone on sight. Ray Harryhausen, in what would become his final major stop-motion production, brings the same painstaking practical artistry to Medusa's lair that defined his entire career, staging the confrontation in a convincingly tense, shadow-drenched temple sequence. Its dated optical effects and deliberately old-fashioned mythological pacing have aged less gracefully against more contemporary fantasy blockbusters covering similar ground. That datedness barely diminishes the film's real legacy, Medusa's design, all writhing serpent hair and rattling snake-tail movement, remains one of the most undeniably unsettling practical creature creations Harryhausen ever produced. Its Medusa confrontation remains a genre benchmark for tension. This production marked one of Harryhausen's final major stop-motion projects before his eventual retirement from feature filmmaking. Our pick for the most iconic mythological entry on this list, the definitive cinematic vision of cinema's most famous snake-haired monster. Number 7. Rango, 2011. A pampered pet chameleon accidentally stranded in the Mojave Desert stumbles into a struggling frontier town of desert animals, and through sheer accident and bluster becomes its new sheriff, forced to actually earn the reputation he initially only invented, most notably by confronting the town's fearsome rattlesnake gunslinger enforcer. Director Gore Verbinski brings true live-action Western filmmaking craft to computer animation, referencing Sergio Leone and Sam Peckinpah explicitly while building a noticeably distinctive desert noir visual identity rarely attempted in mainstream animated cinema. Rattlesnake Jake, the film's menacing antagonist, voiced with honest, unnerving menace, uses his rattling tail as a literal, terrifying machine gun, one of animation's most memorably intimidating villains. Its unusually dense, adult-leaning script and genre-savvy references occasionally sail over younger audiences' heads, despite the family animation packaging. That ambition earned the film considerable critical acclaim regardless, including an Academy Award for Best Animated Feature. Its desert cinematography remains markedly gorgeous throughout. Verbinski reportedly had his voice cast perform scenes together on a soundstage built specifically to capture physical performance reference for the animators. Our pick for the most visually inventive entry on this list, a Western classic rebuilt with a snake as its most feared gunslinger. Number 6. The Jungle Book, 2016. Raised by wolves deep in the Indian jungle, a young orphaned boy must navigate a world of talking animals, both benevolent and predatory. Among them Ka, an enormous, hypnotic python whose soothing voice and coiling embrace conceal a truly predatory intent toward the boy she claims only to want to help. Director Jon Favreau blends photorealistic computer animation with a single live-action lead performance, giving Ka's massive coils and glowing hypnotic eyes a tactile, really unsettling physical presence rarely achieved in family-oriented adaptations of the material. Its family-friendly framing keeps Ka's more overtly predatory instincts somewhat restrained compared to Rudyard Kipling's considerably darker original source material. That restraint barely blunts the sequence's real impact, Ka's hypnotic seduction remaining one of the more quietly unnerving moments in modern family filmmaking. Scarlett Johansson's vocal performance lends the serpent a unmistakably seductive, dangerous calm. Its photorealistic jungle rendering remains a visual effects benchmark. Favreau reportedly cast Johansson specifically for her voice's calm, hypnotic quality, wanting Ka's threat to feel seductive rather than overtly monstrous. The film became one of the highest-grossing releases of its year, cementing photorealistic animal remakes as a viable ongoing studio strategy. Our pick for the most technically stunning entry on this list, family filmmaking that never once forgets its snake is a real predator. Number 5. Conan the Barbarian, 1982. Enslaved as a child after a snake-worshipping cult slaughtered his family and village, a hardened warrior spends his adult life training for revenge against the cult's charismatic, serpent-transforming leader. A quest for vengeance that culminates in a direct confrontation with the man's own supernatural snake-derived power. Director John Milius stages the cult's rituals with unfeigned mythic weight, treating its serpent iconography, from a massive python guarding the temple to the leader's own climactic transformation, as a source of real, unsettling dread rather than pure fantasy spectacle. James Earl Jones anchors the villainous cult leader with commanding magnetic menace, making his eventual snake-derived power feel like a natural extension of his already serpentine charisma. Its deliberately brutal, unglamorous approach to sword and sorcery violence set a genre benchmark few subsequent imitators matched. Arnold Schwarzenegger's breakout performance carries real mythic weight throughout. Its snake cult imagery remains a genre high point for tangible ritualistic dread. Milius has said the cult sequences were partly inspired by his own research into historical mystery religions and snake worship practices from antiquity. Jones has said he approached the role's snake-derived climax by studying footage of real cobras, wanting his physical mannerisms to feel unnervingly plausible. Our pick for the most mythically weighty entry on this list: revenge against a cult that worshipped serpents as gods. Number 4. Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, 2002. A mysterious force is petrifying students throughout Hogwarts, and as suspicion mounts, a young wizard discovers the culprit is a legendary basilisk, a colossal serpent whose gaze alone can kill, secretly unleashed through a hidden chamber by a memory of the school's most infamous former student. Director Chris Columbus builds the mystery with earnest patience, withholding the basilisk's full reveal until a suitably massive, plainly terrifying climactic confrontation deep beneath the school itself. Its considerable length and heavy mystery plotting occasionally test younger viewers' patience ahead of the payoff, a trade-off inherent to adapting the densest of the series' earlier novels. That patience is rewarded with one of family fantasy cinema's most effectively frightening creature reveals, the basilisk's massive scale and lethal gaze giving the franchise real, tangible stakes beyond typical wizarding school whimsy. Its combination of practical and digital effects for the creature holds up remarkably well. The basilisk's roar was reportedly created by layering and slowing down recordings of several different real animals to build its distinctive sound. Columbus has said balancing the darker basilisk sequences against the franchise's family-friendly tone was among the most difficult choices of the production. Our pick for the most effectively frightening entry on this list: a school mystery that unleashes cinema's most legendary giant serpent. Number 3, Snakes on a Plane, 2006. An FBI agent escorting a crucial witness on a packed commercial flight discovers a crime boss has smuggled a crate of deadly, venomous snakes aboard specifically to prevent the witness from ever reaching his destination, unleashing pure airborne chaos at 30,000 feet, with absolutely nowhere for any passenger to escape. The film became a legitimate internet-era phenomenon before release. Its gloriously blunt title, and Samuel L. Jackson's committed involvement generating a level of pre-release cultural buzz rarely matched by a modestly budgeted creature feature. Its deliberately campy tone and self-aware embrace of its own inherent absurdity mean the film has almost no interest in taking its premise seriously at any point. That self-awareness is entirely the appeal. A film that knew exactly how ridiculous its premise sounded and leaned into that ridiculousness with total, gleeful commitment rather than false seriousness. Samuel L. Jackson's now iconic mid-film outburst remains one of the most quoted lines in modern genre cinema. Its cultural impact considerably outweighs its modest box office performance. The film's title and premise reportedly circulated online for months before release, generating fan-made trailers and reshoots requested directly by vocal early audiences, Our pick for the most culturally inescapable entry on this list, a title that promised exactly what it delivered and became a legend for it. Number 2. Raiders of the Lost Ark, 1981. An adventurous archaeologist races Nazi agents across the globe to recover the legendarily powerful Ark of the Covenant, a pursuit that leads him into the Well of Souls, an ancient chamber whose floor turns out to be an undulating carpet of thousands of live snakes standing directly between him and his goal. Director Steven Spielberg stages the sequence with real practical dread, filling the set with real snakes alongside carefully placed prop doubles to sell the sheer, overwhelming scale of the infestation. Harrison Ford's now legendary delivery of the line confessing his character's one authentic phobia has become one of the most widely quoted moments in all of popular cinema, a rare instance of a hero's fear becoming as beloved as his courage. Its snake pit sequence occupies only a fraction of the film's considerable adventure runtime, a relatively brief detour within a much larger globe-trotting pulp adventure. That brevity barely matters. The sequence's cultural impact and sheer sustained tension outlasting entire films built around the same fear. Spielberg has said the snake pit sequence was partly inspired by his own personal discomfort around snakes, a fear he shares directly with his own title character. Our pick for the single most iconic snake sequence in cinema history, terror delivered in one perfectly timed, perfectly quotable scene. Number 1. Our pick for the finest snake movie ever made, Anaconda, 1997. A documentary film crew traveling deep into the Amazon rainforest to study an isolated indigenous tribe instead falls under the sway of an obsessive, unhinged snake hunter who hijacks their expedition entirely in pursuit of a legendary, impossibly massive anaconda he has spent his entire life trying to capture. Director Luis Llosa leans fully into gleeful, over-the-top creature feature spectacle, giving the titular anaconda a thoroughly massive, menacing, practical, and digital hybrid design that made the film an instant genre touchstone on release. Jon Voight's magnificently unhinged, scenery-devouring performance as the obsessive hunter has become as beloved and quoted as the creature itself, a gloriously committed piece of scenery-chewing villainy. Its plotting sticks to fairly straightforward creature feature mechanics, prioritizing escalating attack set pieces, and Voight's escalating theatrics over deeper characterization. That straightforwardness is exactly why the film endures so fondly decades later, an unpretentious, wildly entertaining creature feature that fully understood the assignment and delivered spectacle without a shred of apology. Its jungle river setting remains a wholly effective claustrophobic backdrop. Voight has said he based his character's obsessive mannerisms partly on real big game hunters he researched extensively ahead of filming. The film's underwater and jungle river sequences required extensive location work, with much of the shoot taking place across Brazil and Los Angeles sound stages alike. Our pick for the single most enduringly beloved entry on this entire list, the film that proved a giant snake alone could carry an entire genre. So there it is, 20 different ways cinema has learned to make an entire audience flinch at something with no legs at all, from a submarine crawling with vipers to a wizarding school hiding a monster in its plumbing. Few fears cut this instinctively deep, and few creatures have proven this durable across genre, budget, and decade. These were our picks. Tell us your own favorite. Tell us which slithering nightmare we left coiled outside a list of 20 entirely. And if any of these are still unwatched, maybe check under the couch cushions first. This has been Movie Blanket Club.